So that is the end of day 5 then, but not the end of this Test match. This World Test Championship final will go on to its reserve day, and it'll go on with India leading by 32. That was yet again an examination for India's top order batsman by Tim Southee, who picked up both wickets. We'll discuss that on Intel Presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday, powered by Royal Stag, with Dale Steyn and Sanjay Manjrekar. India would have much preferred that score just being one down, Sanjay. And for a large part of it, Rohit Sharma was almost convincing us that it's easy for him and he's going to bat a long time. And then, as we've discussed before on this show as well, he just gets out.
Yeah, even in Australia, got scores of 26, 52, 44. He has another 30 after getting a good 20 in the first inning. Was it 20 or 30 in the first inning? But this has now become the thing. He looks so good. In fact, when you look at the footwork and the defense of all Indian batsmen, Rohit Sharma has been the best, with judgment of length and stuff. But in the end, the big score eludes him. So that was a bit unfortunate for India, losing Rohit Sharma there.
34 of 68 in the first innings, 30 of 81 in the second. Dale Steyn gave us a masterclass on swing versus seam. But I think even if Rohit Sharma would have paid attention to it, and with all the talent and ability and hard work he has, Tim Southee has still managed to get him. So Dale Steyn is going to take me through what Ian Bishop has continuously described on broadcast as the three-quarter ball. Dale, all yours.
Yeah, I think I was talking about it. Kyle Abbott is, I think, a master of it. I was mentioning it before, just how he holds that seam. It's not exactly cross the seam, but guys are calling it the three-quarter seam. It's the first time I've heard of that now, so we can call it that. And that's you can see my dogs in the background there. I forgot to close the door, but that is how Kyle Abbott gets the bulk of his wickets, if not all of his wickets. And he plays for Hampshire at the Hampshire Bowl. And you look at who bowls from the other side with him is Fidel Edwards. He's a big swinger of the ball. Doesn't take as many wickets. He kind of blows batters away. But Kyle Abbott is a master at it. He's discovered that there, especially at Hampshire, if you hold that three-quarter seam like that, you can either get it to straighten or nibble back in and hit the pads, get bowled. To left-handers, especially from over the wicket, he gets it to go nicely across. Tim Southee worked Rohit over there beautifully, came wide of the crease, couple swung, couple a little bit tighter, held that one like that, bang, came back in, and just absolutely perfect to both opening batters. So it's working well for him, and we'll probably see more of it tomorrow.
I'm glad you've mentioned in your illustrious career and how many years you played that you've heard that term for the first time, because I heard it for the first time as well. But is it a ball that you bowled, Dale? Is it a ball that I'm sure at some point you've tried it yourself? And just tell me, what are the things you've got to keep in mind to execute that perfectly? Because you fooled the batsman into thinking it's a conventional outswinger.
Yeah, look, I wasn't a big swinger of the ball, I big away swing because I had such a nice wrist. I kind of got this part of my wrist behind the ball, and I was managed to get those big away swingers, but never a big in swinger where you're forcing it with like the padding of your thumb over here to get it to go back in. So I held that three-quarter seam especially a lot to left-handed batters. I just wanted to pitch on middle stump and kind of nip across them, not a big away swinger from them, and just nip across them, try and find the edges of them. Or if it hit the seam and it straightened, then I could be in the game with an LBW or bowled. But the key of it is to try and get your wrist, your fingers to really just come straight down behind it. You don't want to have any breaking of the wrist. If you have any breaking of the wrist, it kind of wobbles almost too much. You want that wrist right behind the ball. And you see Southee, you can even, if you slow it down, you can see how good he is. You see how his wrist actually just runs nicely behind that seam. And when it lands, it just nips back in beautifully. Another guy, like I've mentioned, Kyle Abbott, if you slow his action down, you'll see the same thing. His wrist cocks and his fingers just run beautifully down it. And he's able to get that seam movement off the deck.
Batsman's view, Sanjay?
Well, the batsman can do, or what I used to do is keep watching the wrist properly and the seam as well until the last minute, so you get a clue. And Southee is not really trying to hide his outswing. It's an early swing as well. He's not obsessing or getting it to swing late. So it is proper. Sort of, you see the seam in the direction of slips, but the one that he wants to go straight, either there's a wobble seam or the one that where the fingers are a little straighter. So that's the one you've got to be careful of leaving. And it's just that, lapse of concentration and that fraction of a second call where he saw the ball around outside the off stump and left it. And I'm sure as he was leaving, he must have felt, oh dear, picked the wrong ball to leave. So there is a clue when the ball is released that this one is not going to be the outswinger. So one of the gospels for opening batsmen or batters is to keep your options open till the very last minute. Make a decision to play very late. And had Rohit Sharma kept his options still open till the very last minute, had the ball swung and left it, he would have survived that one. But just made that commitment a little too early. But credit more to the bowler than the batter, I guess.
Yep, fair enough. And of course, the batter was just a bit short of luck as well. It was just clipping on umpire's call, so the on-field decision made all the difference. But you can see why umpires love giving those, especially when the batters shouldered arms. Now, 30 overs of New Zealand bowling in their second innings, and we've seen enough of a sample size of their first. And Dale, they're still getting the ball to move a lot more than India did in their entire innings. So now, is this just a clear difference in the type of bowlers and what kind of bowlers have been able to exploit conditions in Hampshire?
Yeah, I would say so. It's just if you think Bolt, if you think Southey, you think swing bowlers, and that's exactly what they're getting. They're getting that kind of swing, and they've also been there for a couple of weeks longer than India have now already. So they're probably a little bit more used to the Duke. They've kind of gotten their actions grooved up. They know how to release the ball. They've obviously worked hard on this in the last couple of weeks building up to this game, whereas India have just kind of lacked in their prep. I'm sure if you give India another 2 weeks, by the time the test match starts against England, you'll see things will start to change. You'll see Bumrah start swinging the ball. Shami will swing it more. These guys they'll figure it out. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, these guys they'll figure it out. But it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of practice if you're not acclimatized. And I think that's the only thing. They just didn't have enough time to prep for this test match for the bowlers.
Sanjay?
Sorry, I mean, I've got nothing more to add, really. I mean, but, clearly in the second innings, you've seen a clear evidence that they swing the ball better than the Indians do. India is more, good at seaming the ball. But having said that, it's not been the deciding factor yet. It's not like, New Zealand have run away with the game and taken a massive lead because they've swung the ball well. But I think there's something to learn for this quality seam lineup, and either a couple of them start swinging the ball more. Mohammad Shami's already started doing that, or maybe find a bowler who can do that as one of his primary skills, because it's always handy to have swing along with seam.
Okay. Shubman Gill has batted 156 minutes in this test match, his first in England, Sanjay, and it's not been, you would say, the fondest for him in terms of run making. Do you have more time for Shubman Gill? Because his batting displays are done now. When you make that team sheet for that first test against England, which is still a fair way away, 3 weeks from now, are there things Shubman Gill needs to work on till then? Or is it only a matter of time till he gets it right?
He'll have to work on his footwork. I mean, it's something that's very obvious for everyone to see. That is also getting out to the balls that leave him, and the ball coming back in is a problem. And like I mentioned in the first innings, it's always front foot. Shubman Gill, right through this test match, not once have I seen him go back. So he's really focused on making sure he doesn't get out to the ball that is pitched up. There was a lot of talk of his front pad not going far enough and getting caught on the crease in Australia. So he's working excessively on that. And today, again, he got caught up in making sure that front pad is across and worried about the outswing. He left some balls beautifully, but then the ball coming back in, surprised him. The only point I want to make, and generally for the Indian batting as well, the footwork that you're seeing, and it's something that I've said before, I've done a demo as well. It's the kind of footwork that you see from batters when you're playing in, say, Australia on a pitch like Adelaide, where the ball starts really shooting along the ground, keeps really low with the cracks, and then all batters come with this preconceived notion that come what may, you're going to get onto the front foot. Happened in Melbourne earlier as well. So that's when it's understandable for all batters to come with this sort of a dogmatic approach to get onto the front foot. But you see with Pujara, you're seeing that with Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli plays that as, that's his basic game. I'm a little skeptical whether that's the right way to go about to be on the front foot all the time.
All right, Dale, you've seen enough of Shubman Gill. He was successful in Australia. He's had a quiet time of it in India and in the IPL after that. He's got a long tour of England to come. If you look at Shubman Gill, the batter, do you see someone who's likely to get it right and find a way, or someone who could find it really challenging in England?
Yeah, I'm just worried that he might find it challenging if he doesn't
Hmm.
look at ways of changing his technique a little bit. If you're going to hang on that front foot, like Sanjay says, you're going to find yourself in trouble. He also seems to play a lot with hard hands. It feels like there's this preconceived idea that if I get onto the front foot and show authority on the front foot to the swinging ball, it shows that I've got things under control. Much of the same way when you play on Australia and guys get onto the back foot and they play a solid pull to the quicks. You want to show that you have authority and you have control. But in a place like England, if you're going to be playing with hard hands and you're going to be focusing primarily on that front foot, you could find yourself in big trouble, especially when you get to the likes of Anderson and Broad, who are masters of bowling in England. They will find that edge. They love hard hands. And Gill will find it difficult to find ways of rotating the strike with soft hands, getting onto the back foot. So he might need to just change his technique a little bit. But over the course of this, 5 Test matches, he will get an opportunity to score some runs. That's for sure. Just hopefully he manages to find a way to do that.
Yes.
I just want to butt in and say that's an excellent
Please.
point that Dale made, and it's a new point as well that I've not heard before. It's about if you have a weakness, like you said, he wanted to show the bowler that he's got authority now. It's something that doesn't bother me anymore. So the focus in the first innings also was standing outside the crease, getting onto the front foot, tall, fast bowler, again, wanting to show that he's up there for the fight and also trying to dominate, showing authority, wanting to make a statement, taking a step and a half towards Kyle Jamieson in swinging conditions. Now, that is only the mental side of things. Technically, it defies all logic to a fast bowler who's 6 foot, whatever, 10, that you're standing outside the crease and taking a step and a half towards him in swinging conditions on a spongy pitch. So I can understand Virat Kohli loves to do that. You saw after he got hit on the helmet, he is even more in your face. That's the captain who is a great batter, and that's his way of handling challenges. But that doesn't mean everyone has to bat like that. Not everyone batted like Viv Richards the way he did when he was the great player of that size. So I would want to see Shubman Gill, class player, just do the reset button to factory settings and just go back to simple, basic of batting is judgment of length. If the ball is short, get inside your crease, defend it. The ball is full, try and get forward. On occasions, you might be on the crease caught because you don't know whether to get forward or back. But just forward is fraught with too much danger for somebody who doesn't seem naturally suited for that. I'm sure when he was coming through, grassroots level cricket, I'm sure he didn't have this technique. It must have been a much simpler technique of getting forward to the ball that is reasonably full. And the moment you see it short of length, just go right back in the crease and you'll have plenty of time, not only to defend, but score ones and twos here and there.
Okay, Shubman Gill has something to work for in the early parts of his Test career. It's just 8 Tests old now, so let's see how he goes before those 3 weeks or 4 weeks. He's got some time before that first Test against England. Now, Virat Kohli had an eventful 12 balls, Dale, and he also was part of this committed front foot tactic in the first innings. He got one on the head finally in the second.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing. He's just focused on getting onto that front foot, trying to negate that swing, and maybe with the close of play, literally just around the corner, he may have forgotten that Tim Southee bowls a slippery bouncer, and that's exactly what he got. Luckily for him, he didn't get his hands in the way where he could have punched it and got caught at gully, because that would have been a tragedy. Because then a lot of people would have been questioning the technique and the idea of really getting onto that front foot. So he escaped that one, but you can see the very next ball, he was back into typical Kohli mode. I thought Southee would have given him another bouncer, but he ran in there, tried to hit the pads, tried to double bluff him, and he got that 3 or 4 through the leg side. So, an eventful 12 balls. One that could also be questioned that he could have sent in a night watchman if he wanted to, but Virat Kohli being Virat Kohli, he was up for the challenge and he walked out to bat. So good on him.
He doesn't do that, right? Virat Kohli is one of the guys who stopped.
We have seen Bumrah come out as night watchman recently, but
not very often.
The last time I think he did that when India were bowled out for 36. So maybe it's a bad omen as well. But anyway,
so Dale, quickly, I recently wrote an article for a paper about some of the things that baffle me in our sport, and that's exactly what happened there. Now here's Tim Southee comes in, bowls a beautiful bouncer, batsman clueless, batter batter clueless, and the ball's gone flying over the keeper, and the batting team gets rewarded 4 runs. And it's
So
something that I'm primarily
you're
against.
saying
And
that
it
the leg
just
buys
defies all logic.
after taking evasive action is something that needs to be reconsidered by the lawmakers.
Yeah, I've written a
Sanjay?
piece where, in a particular battle, a contest between bat and ball, so often, even in T20 cricket, beautiful shot of playing delivery and a tail ender goes like this and the ball goes flying over the keeper for six, or, you got them slogging like the ball hitting thigh pad goes for four leg buys. Just unfair for the bowler. At some point, hopefully, in the near future, you might start looking at that just to even that
At least they
thing out a
don't.
little bit.
At least they don't debit it from the bowler's account. So that's the least that they offer. But yeah, I take your point. But just
Yeah, and
back
if
to
they
the
did, I would be review. I'd be like, review that, please. I don't want those 4 runs on my name.
back to it though. Could that one ball potentially make Virat Kohli think overnight and change things tomorrow? Or are we likely to see New Zealand do more of that tomorrow? More of the short ball in this base sixth or second innings than they did in the first? Will we see more of Virat Kohli just doing what he did in the first innings, Sanjay, and commit himself to that front foot again?
See, Virat Kohli is a great player of the short ball. There's no
Yeah.
weakness there. There are a couple of batters in this Indian lineup who don't like the short ball as much. Virat Kohli is not one of those guys. I think today he was surprised with the short ball because the whole match, there wasn't a single bouncer that was bowled at him, despite him standing outside the crease and taking a giant stride forward. Tomorrow, I think he'll be aware of it. So you'll see him maybe not taking that large a stride and expecting the ball. And if the pitch is true and it gets set, you'll see him start pulling that as well. Because I've seen this guy in Australia standing outside the crease, get onto the front foot and pull Mitchell Johnson in front of mid wicket.
Okay. Is this still a nervous test for India, Dale? 3 wickets fell in 7 overs in towards the end of the first session today. Their lead is only 32. Is this still a nervous test?
Geez, I got dogs all over me here right now.
That's okay.
I would say
I didn't
so.
yeah.
This show,
I would.
that we are doing, Dale, Raunak has got two. How many
Yeah.
have you got?
I got 4, and they're cruising. I
That's
think you can
six.
see a couple of them over there. They're loving it, and they're not allowed in the office when I'm in the office, and I forgot to close the door, so they've come in a couple
Six
times.
dogs in
Yeah.
this cricket for
Yeah,
around
I'd
on
leave the
match
door
day.
open. I'd leave the door open any day. I've convinced Sajid Agarwal to get a dog, Sanjay. So I only need,
And he's
and
got
that's
one.
what's only all left. Yeah, he's got one. So only all left now.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll come back to that. Dale, let's come back to the test. Is it still a nervous one for India?
I think so, yes. I think they've got things under control, slightly under control right now, but Virat will be in his team talks tonight and tomorrow morning. He'll huddle the guys up together and he'll say the first hour or the first session is extremely important to them. They don't want to be losing 2 or 3 quick wickets in that first hour. And obviously, because he's batting out there with Pujara, he will manage that himself. But that's the last thing India need right now, is to go out there tomorrow and lose 2 or 3 quick wickets, because then things can happen. Things can happen really quickly in cricket, But right now, I think he feels he's out there, and you only feel in control when you're out in the middle. When you're sitting in the dressing room, you are nervous, you are a little bit panicky and everything, until you get out to the middle, and then you realize it's actually not as bad. The nerves seem to settle and everything like that. So Virat being out there, he'll manage that well. But the last thing they want is to lose 2 or 3 quick wickets tomorrow morning, because then we might have a game on our hands. But look, I think they'll be okay.
Okay, Sanjay, final thoughts from you. Forecast for tomorrow is very good. So expect 90 odd overs for India to bat as many out of to make sure they don't lose
Yeah,
this.
just one line comment that India is not out of the woods yet.
Hmm.
The most likely result is draw, but India, we can't say is, secure, and they've still got to bat well in that first session.
All right, we will pick things up right after that first session. Let's hope the weather stays good. The forecast is good. So Dale Steyn and Sanjay Manjrekar have another day of cricket to discuss on Intel Presents ESPN Cricket for Match Day, powered by Royal Stack. This has been a fun show. Lots of dogs on it as well. Let's hope Dale Steyn leaves the door open tomorrow. Leave it open, Dale. It's fine. Perfectly fine. And
They're coming. They'll come.
Yeah. We will wrap up the first ever World Test Championship final tomorrow. Even if it is a draw, it's been a compelling game of Test cricket to at least view and talk about. And that'll hopefully happen tomorrow as well. So do join us at lunchtime after the first session is done on day 6, the reserve day.
Thank you.